So if you remember, back in January of 2019, the Ecclesia Dei Commission was suppressed. Now, again, if you follow this podcast, I put a spin on it, an optimistic interpretation. I said, well, maybe this is just Francis putting an olive branch out to the Society of St. Pius X. Because if you remember, the Ecclesia Dei Commission is named after the document Ecclesia Dei, which is very anti-Archbishop Lefebvre and very anti-Society of St. Pius X. It sort of brings, it lifts up, it elevates Fraternity of St. Peter, and then, of course, later Institute of Christ the King and the other Ecclesia Dei bodies. I thought, well, maybe they're just trying to take away some of the negative vibe of what was Ecclesia Dei, moving in the late 80s and into the 90s, and starting from scratch, and then just put everything into the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. And maybe this is actually something positive for the Society of St. Pius X in getting regularized. Maybe. Well, then, little over a year later, we're moving into the spring of 2020, we found out that the Vatican was sending out a survey to every bishop. But the survey to your bishop and all the bishops said, hey, how is Summorum Pontificum and the Latin Mass working out in your diocese? From what I've heard, the bishops were not down or negative on Summorum Pontificum or the growth, and it's a real growth in 2020, my friends, of the traditional Latin Mass communities and parishes. But they put the survey out, and this is sort of the mirror, the smoke and mirrors of synodality. Francis already knows what he wants to do, but he's not going to look like a dictator or a monarch. So he puts his feelers out to people, then he brings in data. He does this on the synods, and then he says, well, this is obviously what everybody wants, which is what he wanted in the first place. And what he wants in the first place is to suppress the traditional Mass and sacraments and devotions and morality. Just over a year later, in mid-July, July 16th, we get Traditionis Custodes, allegedly guardians of tradition. Some kind of jokingly say jailers of tradition. And it effectively reverses Pope Benedict's motu proprio Summorum Pontificum. What it did is it said no new priest can say the traditional Latin Mass. The permission that Benedict XVI gave to all Roman Rite priests to say the Latin Mass whenever they want without getting approval or permission, that has been rescinded, taken back. That's no longer on the table. Any priest moving forward who wants to say the Latin Mass has to get a special dispensation, license, faculty in order to do that. And it also adds new rules on where the Latin Mass can be said, etc., and on and on. That, in July of 2021, was the most nuclear of attacks against traditionalists since, I would say, 1970 or 1976. 1976 is when Archbishop Lefebvre started getting in all kinds of trouble with Paul VI. It is, I don't think people have yet fully appreciated, fully taken in how nuclear this attack is.